From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, then our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the live in-person and live Zoom worship service of the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. Our opening hymn this morning is number 360, Here We Have Gathered, from the Gray Hymnal. Please feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and stand, embody your spirit, and join us in singing hymn number 360, Here We Have Gathered.
Here we have gathered, gathered side by side, circle of kitchen.
Thank you for joining us here in person, and thank you for joining us remotely by Zoom, where we will continue live streaming and posting these services on our YouTube channel for all of our virtual attendees. I'm Grace Preuss, a member of the Worship Committee, and I will be your worship associate today. Other members of the Worship Committee who make this service possible include Alec Peck, our music coordinator, Adam Wedeking, who monitors our visual and online connections, and Corinna Jacks, who is in charge of our sound system today. She's being assisted by Robert Brown. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices, please. We welcome you all to our service, especially those of you who are searching for a spiritual home, something larger than ourselves to which we could belong, a sense of rootedness to hold us as we explore and create meaning together. Thank you for sharing your morning with us. We are glad you are here. Before we move into the service, there are a few announcements we would like to share. We will mention several websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all of this information, and it is available on our website. First Sunday Luncheon. Join us next week after the service for the First Sunday Luncheon. Next week, the theme will be soups. Okay. Now Adam will talk to us about the Peace Vigil.
Good morning. I think I mentioned this last week. The Quakers, or the local Quakers, have picked up what the Fellowship of Reconciliation used to do, the Peace Vigil in front of our church. And so they will be holding it tonight, 4 to 5 p.m. Depending on the vendors we have out front, we will either be in front of our church or across the street in front of the Congregationalist Church. But come at 4 o'clock, there's signs that will be provided. They say peace is love, peace is nonviolence, peace is generosity. There are different, whole bunch of different signs. So signs will be provided. We just stand there in silence with the signs for the people who are out and about during the Festival of Lights. So if you'd like to come, join us again at 4 o'clock. It'll either be right in front of our church or right across the street, depending on vendors and where we can stand. So I hope to see you all tonight.
Thank you, Adam. Next, we would like to express our sincere appreciation to everyone who gave of their time, treasure, and talent to the holiday events and fundraisers here at our church. Special thanks go out to Robert Brown, Kate Lewicki, Linda Van Boris, Tinka Friend, Sandra Burhagen, Adam Wedeking, and Avery Burrows for their major contributions and efforts during this busy time. We also want to thank Daniel Hamilton and his wife, who enhanced our Christmas Eve program with his live violin music. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to all of our visitors today, and welcome back to our old friends. We would love to meet with you during coffee hour after the service. If you're comfortable doing so, please give us a wave so we can recognize you later for those who are new. And for those on Zoom, you can use the Zoom wave gesture to just wave at your camera. Or, yes, just wave at your camera. We'd love to chat with you out in the parish hall, where you can also find our visitors book. Do we have any new visitors today? Hello, welcome. Thanks for coming in. Please leave your name before you leave so that we know you are here, and leave your contact information if you would like updates on church events. There will also be a short discussion after the service to share your reflections with us. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. And now I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. You are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth, and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Our sermon today is a reading of Getting Serious About Unitarian Universalism by Reverend Scott Alexander. Reverend Scott Alexander is a third-generation Unitarian Universalist who has a Master of Divinity from Starr King School for Ministry and an undergraduate degree from Lawrence University. He has 48 years of experience in the UU ministry since being ordained at the First Church of Maine in 1974, where he began his ministry. Reverend Alexander travels widely within the Unitarian Universalist denomination, speaking, preaching, and offering in-depth workshops on a variety of congregational and faith-related subjects. Over the last 15 years, Reverend Alexander has completed 5 coast-to-coast, which is 30 days or 120 miles a day, charity bike rides to support local nonprofit or agencies working to end local poverty and hunger. Being a Unitarian Universalist means taking personal responsibility for your own religious life. Unitarian Universalism does not give you freedom from religion, it gives you freedom for religion. Here is the great paradox of our faith. Now we have 2 lightings of sacred flames. The first is a remembrance candle for the indigenous peoples who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. We remember that underneath us is the unceded land of several indigenous peoples, the Cahuilla, the Luiseño, and the Cupeño. We light this sacred flame in their remembrance and in recognition of their ongoing struggle for freedom and dignity. Our second sacred flame is our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We are blessed with this space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Thank you, Avery. Today's chalice lighting words are "The Chalice is a Symbol" by Deborah Falk. A chalice lit in our midst is a symbol of our liberal faith, a faith built on the foundation of freedom, reason, and tolerance, a faith sustained by acts of kindness and justice, a faith that visions a world flourishing with equality for all her people, a faith that demands the living out of goodness, a faith that requires thoughtfulness, a faith of wholeness. This tiny flame is the symbol of the spark of all of this within each of us. Our hymn now is number 188, "Come, Come, Whoever You Are," from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and stand in body or spirit, and join us in singing, "Come, Come, Whoever You Are."
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come, come.
This portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church. This can be accomplished in several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here. You may contribute by PayPal using the QR code, which is also shown here, as well as on the church website and in the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market gives our church a rebate on Stater grocery cards, which we will have in church each Sunday. You will get the full value of your purchase, and the church also receives a percentage for free. Please see Robert Brown in the church office if you are interested in purchasing the gift cards. Please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever method works best for you. We thank you for your generosity. To those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. For all of you who have joined us here today, thank you for the gift of your presence. Okay, do you want to come up and announce it? Did you want to come up and announce it? We don't have it. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
This week is a 50-50 collection along with our regular collection. It goes to the maintenance fund for repairs on the building, on the church. Some things that have been done recently to the church using this fund are broken glass in the display case in the parish hall. It's repaired. To be done, some things to be done are replace the door on the north restroom in the parish hallway, look at the toilets and make repairs, both restrooms, and there's numerous other things in line as the fund is enhanced. Thank you.
Thank you, Avery. Will our ushers now please come forward to receive the collection? A bag will also be passed around to collect food and hygiene items for our local community. I'd like to add, if you'd like to give to the 50-50 collection, please mark on your checks or put in those small envelopes that this is to go to the 50-50 collection. Thank you. Our next hymn is number 402, From You I Receive, from the Gray Hymnal. Once again, feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you and stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 402, From You I Receive.
Together we share from this sweet name.
Our meditation today is a prayer for these times by Kenneth P. Langer. We invite you now to sit back, relax, and if you'd like, gently close your eyes. Let me find peace within, so that I may be calm throughout. Let me find silence within, so that I may find compassion throughout. Let me be reminded that some things are worth waiting for. Let me be reminded that the journey is more important than reaching the destination. Let me see that the non-doing is as much a part of life as the doing. Let me be reminded that it is in these moments of holding on that I can find quietude and renewal. It is within these times of inaction that I can find rest. It is in these times of emptiness that I can become full. Now let us pause for a moment of silence and reflection. Now, I would like to introduce Jonathan Beliski, who will be reading the sermon, Getting Serious About Unitarian Universalism by Reverend Scott W. Alexander. Please note that this is a pre-written sermon from the UUA website and does not necessarily reflect the views of the reader. Okay, I'm going to get the script up. Just 1 second. Okay. Thank you.
Before I start this, I just want to make a point of saying that I don't consider myself a Unitarian Universalist. But nonetheless, when I was given the opportunity to read this sermon, I jumped at it. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Getting serious about Unitarian Universalism. At one point in her novel, Fly Away Home, American writer Marge Piercy has a mother say of her daughters, "The girls have been raised Unitarian Universalist," which seemed a nice, sensible compromise between having no religion at all and having to lie about what we believed. Enough religion to be respectable, but not enough to get in the way. Ouch, that hurts. It hurts if, like me, you are proud to be a Unitarian Universalist and strive to be serious about your own religious life. But whether we like it or not, this is precisely what many people from other faith groups think of UUs. Remember the old jokes? Question: what is a Unitarian Universalism? Answer, a way station between Methodism and the golf course. Question, what do you get when you cross a Jehovah's Witness with a Unitarian Universalist? Answer, someone who knocks at your door for no particular reason. One old down east Maine fisherman asked another, Unitarian Universalist, what is that? To which the other drawls back, well, best I can figure it, that's someone who has no principles and lives by them. I used to laugh when someone told jokes about how laid back and lax we Unitarian Universalists we are about our religion, but I'm not laughing anymore. I stopped laughing because I realize how terribly important it is for me to take my religious life seriously. As I reach my midlife, not me, the writer, and approach my 50th birthday, I find myself increasingly compelled by life's vast spiritual questions and pressing ethical demands. I've stopped laughing because I believe with all my heart and soul this troubled world desperately needs the compassionate and saving vision of Unitarian Universalism. I believe people, millions of people of many different cultures and backgrounds, need this transforming faith. I stopped laughing because we can no longer allow ourselves to be marginalized, ridiculed, or dismissed. Unitarian Universalism will never realize its potential and mission unless we are, in both reputation and reality, serious religious people. Will you join me now on a journey to explore what it means to get serious about your Unitarian Universalism? We must begin by acknowledging that we, as UUs, are largely responsible for our reputation as the lightweight and soft religion. My colleague, Bill Miller, puts it bluntly, for too long we have not taken ourselves seriously. We have offered a haven for those on their way out of institutionalized religion. We have demanded little and received the same. Too many of us have actually espoused the notion that one can believe anything and still be a Unitarian Universalist. We have resisted the strictures imposed by form and embraced a laid-back spirituality that has commanded the respect of nearly no one. Stephen Carter, in The Culture of Disbelief, asserts that our society as a whole encourages individuals not to take their religion seriously. In contemporary American culture, religions are more treated as just passing beliefs, almost fads, rather than as fundamentals upon which the devout build their lives. What this culture says is, if religion becomes inconvenient, give it up. If you can't remarry because you have the wrong religious belief, well, hey, believe something else. If you must go to work on Sabbath, it's no big deal, it's just a day off. Pick a different one. If you can't have a blood transfusion because you think God forbids it, no problem, get a new God. And through all this trivializing rhetoric runs a subtle but unmistakable message. Pray if you like, worship if you must, but whatever you do, do not on any account take your religion seriously. This attitude exerts pressure to treat religion as a hobby. I've been a Unitarian Universalist minister for nearly 25 years. In every congregation I have served, there had been people for whom Unitarian Universalism seemed little more than a casual convenience, occasional hobby, a peripheral part of their lives. This reality was driven home for me when a parishioner in New Jersey told me that he liked the church because it was an interesting and entertaining place to be on Sunday mornings when I'm not away skiing. Other ministers and denominational statistics have painted the same picture. Far too often, we have been low participation, low expectation, low commitment religion. But something new is stirring in our movement. The baby boom generation is now flocking to UU churches, looking for a serious, spiritual, transforming ethical religion. There is a hunger for Unitarian Universalism that gives and expects much. But as we try to respond to this demand for a serious religion, we bump against the casualness that has defined us in the past. Regrettably, many people used to be attracted to Unitarian Universalism because it seemed the religious path of least resistance. I will never forget the long conversation I had with a man following his wife into a congregation I was serving. He was having trouble understanding the Unitarian Universalist way of religion. A lapsed and angry Roman Catholic, he did grasp the freedom part about Unitarian Universalism, refusing to impose any dogma or moral absolute on individuals. He felt great to be liberated from all that encrusted orthodoxy. But having been raised in a church where beliefs were imposed from above, not nurtured from within, he couldn't grasp how UUism, like any serious religion, continually challenges each person to be careful, authentic, compassionate, and responsible living. With more than a little sarcasm, he said to me, "Hey, this religion is great. It's like a cakewalk, a Sunday walk in the park. No dogma, no catechisms, no confession booths, no eternal damnation or sin. I like this. If I join this church, I just lean back and believe whatever I want to." No matter how I tried to explain what a demanding, disquieting, lifelong journey it is to be seriously on the Unitarian Universalist path, this guy just couldn't get it. Like so many come-outers in our movement, he fixated on our freedom. Thank God, at last, a church where I don't have to pretend to believe all this stuff I don't believe. I respond to that one. He missed altogether the haunting challenge and demanding tension written into the fourth UU principle. Ours is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. To be a UU is to spend a lifetime seeking reality and truth, and to live in this world in an ethical and principled way. There's nothing casual or easy about that. My colleague, Charles Mastrill, speaks to this point. I'm amused by the view that it's easy to be a Unitarian Universalist. It's easy to be a UU as it is to search the murky waters of life without sure charts to guide us or guarantee that we will find a safe port in which to put down anchor. It's easy to be a Unitarian Universalist as it is to overcome the natural fear of the unknown and venture forth with nothing to sustain us save our zest for living and hunger for new experiences and knowledge. Our religion is not in the way of ease. We are called to be sailors, for many worlds exist waiting to be discovered. And not the least of them are within ourselves. It takes much persistence, courage, curiosity to look into our own depths and to come to terms with the twin mysteries of being alive and having to die, to see ourselves in new and larger ways without being dishonest about our limitations. We have only begun to discover our potential. Unitarian Universalism does not give you freedom from religion. It gives you freedom for religion. Here's a great paradox of our faith. Being a UU does not give you freedom to believe anything you want. Rather, the freedom to search for and find those beliefs from which your heart and soul cannot escape. Being a UU means searching for your own defining religious principles, then allowing yourself to be captured by them. Actively participating in our free religion has an inescapable quality about it. The only choice involved whether or not to take your emerging personal truth and principles seriously enough to actually live them on a daily basis. Once you find your moral and spiritual guideposts, and these evolve over the years, you have no choice but to follow the path that your guideposts define. This faith, tradition, which trusts the integrity and worth of each individual, sets you free not so that you can dabble in religion, but so that you can become, as Stephen Carter puts it, intoxicated by an authentic personal faith you cannot help but live, serve, and cherish. For some UUs, this means choosing a particular demanding faith stance, like living as a committed Christian, Buddhist, or humanist neo-pagan. For others, finding authentic religion paths is a more eclectic individual process, gradually evolving a working set of authoritative beliefs and principles. Some of the fundamental religions and spiritual sources of authority that they use in this process are the 7 principles articulated in the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws, the 100 years of our liberal faith tradition, including the writings and deeds of our UU saints, the tradition, scriptures, and ethics of the world's many great faith traditions, most especially those of the Judeo-Christian tradition from which both Unitarianism and Universalists spring, the consensus of human history and law, the common moral sense and persistent conscience of the individual arising out of his or her direct experience of the world. Many UUs have come out of conservative faith traditions, hurt and angry about spiritual damage they have suffered at the hands of religion of their childhood. At first, they use their precious spiritual time, space, and energy proclaiming everything they don't believe, all the spiritual practices they no longer need, all ethical restraints they refuse to obey. I feel called out right now. All the forms and rituals they can no longer tolerate. This stage of declaring oneself free from old, destructive religious beliefs is both necessary and understandable. One first liberates us from what I do not believe before one begins to move towards new, authentic, life-giving beliefs. Although a few UUs get stuck spiritually by wallowing in negative rebellion from the religious past, most sooner or later begin using the freedom that comes with being a UU to get serious about discovering what they do believe, finding the ethical and moral principles that inform their living, and engaging in spiritual practices that feed their souls, energize them for careful, responsible living. Freedom is like the air we breathe, said philosopher Santayana. It's necessary for existence, but insufficient for nourishment. The UU minister Jim Brewer further reminds us, freedom demands responsibility to others and life. It is not enough to be merely disciples of freedom. We must also be disciples of intelligence, sensitivity, understanding, and love. It's not enough to be free from intolerable constraints, but to be free for what is good, true, and beautiful. We may realize that freedom is not an end of our religion, but in reality, it is only the beginning. Being a UU is much more than opinions and beliefs you hold. It's about the way you live every day. Our tradition has always affirmed that true religion is about deeds, not creeds. UUs are fond of saying, "Don't tell me what you believe, show me how you live." As one minister pointedly put in his sermon title, if being a Unitarian Universalist were against the law, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Taking your Unitarian Universalism seriously means that your beliefs, principles, and values should be visibly present in your life. People around you should be able to see your religion in all the big and little ways. In what you say and do in relationships, and how you make decisions and how you solve problems, in the institutions and causes to which you give your time and money, in how you care for and serve other living things, most especially other people. As my colleague Robert Swan says, faith is not enough, nor belief. Living what you believe is the principle of honesty put into practice. Unitarians and Universalists over the centuries thus have been active, out of all proportions to our numbers, in seeking justice, struggling against oppression, and making this a better world to live in. The first dimension of getting serious about your religious life, this unashamed liberal evangelist will tell you, is talking the talk, taking the trouble, when appropriate and respectful, to share with others, your family and friends, neighbors and coworkers, what you religiously believe and why you believe it. But true religion, transforming, saving, compassionate religion, is then about walking the walk. It's about rolling up your sleeves, genuinely living a theology of dirty hands. It's about standing up for principles and living your values and serving others. Such religion, unlike the lackluster UUism Marge Piercy describes, very much gets in the way. It's not convenient to live by one's most dearly held principles. There are many costs and sacrifices that are required. True religion limits, tests, and challenges the individual. It's often anything but fun. For in this broken world of ours, it is hard to serve justice, difficult to work for peace, equity, and demanding to live compassionately. The history, spirit, and principles of our UU faith clearly calls upon us to grow bigger, more inclusive hearts. Being a UU means daily lending yourself and your soul to building a gentler, more humane world. Most often, not in grand and glorious heroic feats like those accomplished by great human saints, but in little, everyday ways that have the power to just transform our world, one caring, responsible deed at a time. Now, please don't be intimidated. I'm intimidated. Being serious about your Unitarian Universalism means that you simply strive to make a positive, principled difference right where you live, in your little cluttered corner of life, and in all the everyday ways that count. Our religion, well and responsibly lived, looks like the everyday examples expressed through this sermon. Being a UU is not about single-handedly rising the level of noble sainthood, like UU Clara Barton, founding the Red Cross in the Civil War, or Theodore Parker protecting runaway slaves with his loaded pistol, or Reverend James Reeb dying in the streets of Selma. It's about being a caring, authentic person, living the beliefs and values that grow in your life center. For some months, the CLF staff has been discussing a process for helping members get more intentional and serious about their religious life in the coming months. We will, they bring out 4 points, what I find are really helpful, so I'm going to read them to you now. 1, articulate to yourself what you now believe as a UU. Remember, beliefs and values can and do change over a lifetime, but at any point given in life, you can clearly express to which you have loyalty. 2, access the ways in which you already live your Unitarian Universalism. 3, identify new ways in which you want to express your religious and ethical commitments. 4, take the necessary steps to fulfill your commitments. It is our hope that you will choose to utilize this process for becoming more intentional about walking your Unitarian Universalist walk. To take Unitarian Universalism seriously by visibly living it. I close with an affirmation from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro, North Carolina. Being a Unitarian Universalist means taking personal responsibility for your own religious life. No one will try to remake you religiously. We won't offer you final and absolute truths or rigid dogma. Instead, we will try and provide you a stimulating cognial atmosphere in which you may seek answers, in which you may ask new questions, in which you are free to discover the best that is in you. We reject the idea that a book or institution is superior to the conscience and intellect of moral, responsible person. We affirm that your spiritual well-being is yours to determine. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Our closing hymn now is number 131, Love Will Guide Us, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you, and stand in body or spirit, and join us in singing hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the hot night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the hot night.
Go out now with hearts and hands and minds renewed to the world that is waiting for you. Go out to that world to bring your gentle touch to those in pain. Go out to feed and house those in need. Go out to speak truth to those with power. Go out with courage to do the work which calls you. Go out now with your passion and faith to change the world. Namaste, amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Jonathan, for sharing your valuable time in reading the sermon for us this morning. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you again. We will have a 10 to 15 minute discussion following the service for those who wish to share their thoughts and observations on today's topic. Please be aware that this will be included on the video that is posted. For the rest of you, you are now welcome to adjourn into the parish hall. So, would anyone like to come up and share their thoughts on today's topic? Hello, Bill. Oh, Karina? Karina, can we turn the mic on? Yeah.
There was a lot to unpack in that particular speech. There's lots of ways to go in there. One of the things that I found useful is, as Universalists and Unitarians, we're not real big on the whole concept of an eternal burning place as run by the God of love. It doesn't generally fit with us real good. I have found lately that there have been ways to counter that. For the people that are still big believers in the whole eternal hell idea, you sort of, one way to handle that as you try to live your Unitarian Universalist idea is this. You say, okay, he goes to hell, but you have to keep him there because the Almighty is quite content with what he is. At least he has not let you know what the problem is. So he goes to hell, you go to hell, you're both burning. You've got one layer, you've got your flip-flops on and he's barefoot. And the flip-flops are not fireproof. And you have to keep him in hell. People are a lot less interested in an avenging God when they have to be the arm of vengeance. All of a sudden they want to fix you more if they think they're going to lose their weekends out of the whole deal. And you can go in other directions too. One thing that I run into a lot when looking at YouTube, which I'm told is a bad place to be if you're in the comment sections, but I see some really good stuff too, so I keep taking the bait and going in there, is that I've occasionally run into angry atheists who will come bounding in because there was some God language that set them off a little bit. And again, instead of I'm the one who shows up afterwards and says, okay, you just did the rough equivalent of a leap across light years, or at least light seconds, in order to say, no, it's not like that. So it's basically saying that these people are driven and compelled just like the religious folks they tend to sneer at. If you catch them on that, and also if you sit there and say, I'm not going to give either one of you center stage in a religious argument, not the right, not the left, not the believer, not the unbeliever. You all have to prove your points over and over and over again. That means the de facto place for those on a religious quest is agnosticism, to say, I don't know. I'm willing to take the best picture, the most loving, the most logical, and I'm going to lead with it. But you don't own center stage. You don't own center stage. Either you compromise or you learn how to advance the points that you have better. They don't like that very much, but it's actually good Unitarian seed to create a middle ground where we can all work together, compromise, be cosmopolitan, and make the whole darn thing work. What are some, when you see the bridging of gaps, what are some things you look to see? What are some techniques? How do you build the bridges?
Can you define what you mean by bridging the gaps, please?
Bridging of the gap would be, instead of assuming that the position would be I can't prove it, therefore it's not real. It's not metaphysically real or otherwise. How do you build a bridge to say, I don't know, but here's what we can do in the meantime?
I think a big principle that's helped me a lot, as well as a big principle, one of the reasons I've continued to come to UU is seeing that every person's experience is valid. As I look at other people's experiences, I may not have empirical evidence of a God or need for spirituality, but if I consider every person as a valid human being and their experiences are valid, then I get to, that part talks about how he is a Christian and he prayed and he had this healing, or this person's a Buddhist and they have this connection. How am I supposed to ignore all these vast experiences from all these different people if I'm only looking for empirical evidence? I only can do that if I say their experiences, their personhood isn't valid. So I do it by saying their experiences is valid, even though I may not agree with it. In fact, most of these experiences, it's been a big exercise for me to take deep breaths, be like, that doesn't match my Christian theology.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, we have other comments? Walt?
As per the news this morning, bird flu is coming, and there is a vaccine already. It's just a matter of when the country will decide to be serious about this, so please be ready to roll up your sleeve. That was the first thing. Second is, UUs have always been for liberal, progressive things. And so just as they were for civil rights in the past, with regards to African Americans, now the civil rights of our time is LGBTQ. Third thing that I want to mention is why I am especially passionate about UUs in general and this church in particular. 3 of the 4 most significant women I have found in my life have been not only from UU, but from this church. This church rocks. I hope that's a serious enough reason for me to come. Thank you.
Thank you all. And Diane, you had some comments for us?
Okay, we're going to times right now where we may find it a little more depression if we have certain ideas than we might have maybe a while back. But no matter what, empathy is extremely important. And I love this message for assorted reasons, because it reminds me when I'm here, and what I heard today, of the importance of empathy, of the importance of unity, and to respect others. Even if we may not agree, they have the right to be respected, because united we stand, divided we fall. And what I thought was really important today was being reminded that we can hear a lot of talk, but unless we walk what we have heard that we feel is on the road of love and kindness to each other, we may have lost an opportunity, a big one, to make a difference. And it just takes us walking, talk internally to find some joy that we might not find otherwise. It also helps us to spread the word in whatever kind way we can to remind others there are options beyond some severe doctrine which might limit our growth and limit our chance while we're alive to embrace each moment. So I don't know, I'm rambling on, but I appreciated the message. I appreciate those soldiers at the front lines who continue to deliver this message and remind us that we should go beyond our own me, myself, and I thinking to realize we're all in it together, and it will make a difference when we go in a kind way towards united in a better way for the future and for now. That's it. Bye.
Thank you, Diane. Is there anyone? Oh, Adam.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. I thought it was a really great sermon, and it's Scott Alexander. I've always generally enjoyed his sermons, and I think it's really good. I think it's important to talk about how UUism is not as easy as some other religions kind of make it out to seem. There's a reason why our church and UU churches in general tend to be small. What we do here is not easy. It's difficult. I think our new values that the UUA passed are spiritual disciplines that are generally not easy things to do, and they teach us kind of how to do that. I think pluralism. We talk about how do we kind of bridge that gap between these different ideas and what I know to be true and what your experience says. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Yes. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect, right? That's how we do it. It's about being curious, about not saying this is what I know and we're sticking with that, but being curious with where does that come from? Why are you saying that? Why do you see things that way? And why do I see things so strictly the way I see things? Maybe there's some way we can connect that. And transformation, adapting to the changing world is not an easy thing to do. We have our ways, we're stuck, we're going to sit in here, but to be open to change, to be open to new information and changing your beliefs and your biases and those things because of that is not an easy thing. It's a struggle, and it's a constant practice that needs to be done. And so I thought this sermon was great, and thank you very much for giving it.
Is there anyone online who'd like to share their comments? Okay, all right.
Off of what he had to say.
Okay, and yes.
You can't hear it. You come up. You come up first.
I just wanted to say I thought you did a great job.
Thank you. Here's one for you. It's building off of what he had to say, plus what was said here. Getting into a naturalistic phase of things because, well, if I'd been able to see natural evidence, I might have realized that the latest election was not going the way that we thought it was going to. That was a rude surprise, and I don't want to have too many more of them. But you spoke of, what you spoke of made me think in nature, they're creatures that either take the advantage or do what they must, and they become specialist forms, such as a heron across, that says, my MO is to walk along the shore and mug small fish. And if the pond gets dry, I can fake it for a while by mugging mice, but I'm not as good at that. Badger, likewise, will dig to go after creatures underneath. In religion, we have ideas that are generalized, like, if I'm not a jerk in this life, perhaps there'll be some continuance for me after the envelope that bears my spirit goes away. Different people have answers for that. There's a field of different answers. What happens next? There are specialized approaches that say, heaven or hell, and my particular shade of heaven or hell, Catholic hell, Catholic heaven, Baptist, or so on. Essentially, that they're specialized places. So what I'm curious about now is what drives us to a specialist theological place, and what drives us to a generalized theological place. Thought?
He left. I'm not sure. Thought?
Many times it takes a personal experience to shake us to the point where we need to consider it in Jesus. It can be a very unfortunate experience, but it can make a difference in moments like unfortunate. That's my observation. That wasn't in my.
But we heard it. Thank you, Diane. Okay, so I think what is the most valuable thing about faith is that we have a choice to choose what we believe in, and that will affect how we live our lives. So hopefully we make the right choice. Right. Anyone else? No? Okay, if there are no further comments, then we are adjourned to the parish hall. Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you again.